It's been more than 55 years since Hawaii Five-0 first hit the airwaves, and the people in that cast lived through marriages, scandals, heartbreaks, and transformations nobody could have seen coming. Did you know that one of the show's lead actors lost his wife and two young children in a plane crash before the series even began? When two military bombers collided in midair directly above his home. Did you know that one of the actresses suffered a postpartum embolism, that her heart stopped for 4 full minutes, that she sustained serious brain damage with memory loss, and kept all of it hidden from Hollywood for years, on the advice of one very famous friend? And did you know that the show's star was secretly battling Alzheimer's disease during the final seasons, while his wife publicly denied any illness whatsoever? Today we're telling you what happened to these people after the cameras stopped rolling. Number 1. Zulu, real name, Gilbert Francis Lani Khigh, Detective Kono Kalakaua. Gilbert Khigh made history as the first Hawaiian face of this series. His character, Detective Kono, appeared in that legendary opening sequence kicking down a door, an image that millions of viewers never forgot. Zulu joined the cast in 1968 at 30 years old. Young, magnetic, full of energy, a beach boy from Waikiki, a singer, and a showman. He was already a star on his island long before television came calling. Behind the scenes, though, things got complicated fast. Zulu stayed only 4 seasons, through 1972. By most accounts, he left out of sheer frustration. He felt the Kono character was flat. A stereotype of the dumb Hawaiian that did no justice to the rich cultural heritage he represented. On top of that, tensions were building with Jack Lord, whom many on set described as a perfectionist with a tyrannical streak. Zulu, according to colleagues, would fall asleep between takes, which sent Lord through the roof. In 1986, Zulu lived through a tragedy of an entirely different kind. His car struck a cyclist training for the Ironman triathlon on the island of Kona. He was convicted of second-degree manslaughter. The fine was $500 and a year of probation, but the shadow of that incident never fully left him. After the show, he kept performing in the nightclubs of Waikiki. His band, Zulu, and the Sons of Hawaii was known all over the island, but his health was failing. In 1994, he was diagnosed with hypertension, then diabetes, heart surgery, 6 years of kidney dialysis. He was waiting for a donor organ when, during a dialysis session on May 3, 2004, his body simply gave out. Zulu died at 66. By his own wishes, his ashes were scattered over the waters of Waikiki from a traditional outrigger canoe, the way the real Beach Boys said goodbye. "He was one of the finest outrigger canoe paddlers I've ever seen," said Don Ho, his close friend and fellow musician. Number 2, Kam Fong, real name, Kam Tong Chun, Detective Chin Ho Kelly. Kam Fong is a man whose life could have been its own film, the kind that leaves you sitting in silence when the credits roll. He was born in 1918 in the Khigh Dhiegh neighborhood of Honolulu. His family fell apart early. His father had an affair, his grandfather threw him out of the family business, and his mother was left to raise her children in poverty. As a boy, Kam watched his brother burn alive when someone held a match to fresh paint during a home repair job. Then came World War II. On December 7, 1941, Kam was working at the Pearl Harbor shipyards when the Japanese planes came. He didn't run. He stayed for 3 days, standing over the capsized mine layer USS Ogallala, weeping as the battleship USS Arizona burned. Then he joined the police. But the worst blow didn't come from the war. On June 8, 1944, 2 military B-25 bombers collided in the air above the Honolulu neighborhood where the Chun family lived. Debris rained down on the residential block. Kam's wife, Esther, their 4-year-old daughter, Marilyn, and their 2-year-old son, Donald, were killed instantly. Kam was at work. After losing his entire family in a single day, he applied to the Honolulu Police Department and stayed there 16 years. In 1968, at 50 years old, Kam Fong landed the role of Detective Chin Ho Kelly. He'd originally come in to audition for the villain Wo Fat, but the producers saw something else in him entirely. Kam played the character for 10 seasons, and Chin Ho Kelly became one of the first Asian American detectives in the history of American television. His son, Dennis Chun, later carried the family legacy into the 2010 reboot of Hawaii Five-0. In 2002, Lung cancer ended this long and extraordinary road. Kam Fong died on October 18, 2002, in Honolulu. He was 84 years old. A man who had survived the destruction of his family, the attack on Pearl Harbor, and the loss of 2 young children in peacetime, found his place in television history and passed it on. Number 3. Harry Endo, lab expert Khigh Fong. Harry Endo is one of the most unlikely people ever to appear on television. He never planned to be an actor. Born in 1922 in Denver, Colorado, he'd fought in Europe as a military radio operator, then settled in Hawaii after the war, and went to work at the Territorial Savings Bank, a completely ordinary bank teller. Everything changed because of a commercial. The bank was filming a TV advertisement, and Harry ended up in the shot, by accident. The spot was seen by Leonard Freeman, the creator of Hawaii 5-0, who offered Endo the role of Khigh Fong, the crime lab expert. Just like that, Harry Endo became an actor at 46. No casting call, no agent, no audition, simply because he happened to be in the right place at the right time. His character became the blueprint for an entire television genre. The brilliant scientist in the white lab coat who knows everything about everything. That exact type of forensic expert would be reproduced in countless series afterward, from CSI to Castle. Harry appeared in 111 episodes from 1968 to 1977. After the show, he had a few appearances on Magnum P.I. and Murder, She Wrote, then quietly retired. His marriage to Myrtle lasted more than 60 years. When Harry died of a stroke in Brooklyn in January 2009, at 86 years old, Myrtle survived him by only a few months. They went almost together, just the way they had lived. The man who stumbled into movies by accident stumbled into television history by accident, and stayed there forever. Number 4. Herman Wedemeyer, Sergeant Detective Duke Lukla. Herman Wedemeyer had 2 completely separate lives, and both of them were remarkable. The first was on the football field. Born in 1924 in Hilo, Hawaii, he played for St. Mary's College in California and became a legend of American college football. His nicknames tell you everything: Squirmin' Herman, the Hula-Hipped Hawaiian, the Flying Hawaiian. In 1945, he finished 4th in the Heisman Trophy vote. He was later inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. The Second Life was on screen. Wedemeyer joined Hawaii 5-0 in 1971 at 47, first in bit parts, then as a fixture as Detective Duke Lukla through the series finale in 1980. He appeared in more than 143 episodes, and his castmates loved him for his easygoing nature and his endless sense of humor. Herman was the one who broke the tension that perfectionist Jack Lord created on set. Beyond football and acting, Herman also went into politics. In 1968, he was elected to the Honolulu City Council as a Republican. And in 1970, he won a seat in the Hawaii State Legislature as a Democrat. 3 careers: athlete, actor, politician. A genuine success in every one. On January 25, 1999, Herman Wedemeyer died at 74 from complications following a heart attack. His brother Charlie, who had Lou Gehrig's disease, continued coaching his football team from a wheelchair, a story that moved the entire country. In the Wedemeyer family, the ability to press forward no matter what seemed to run in the blood. Number 5. Richard Denning, Governor Paul Jameson. Richard Denning was an actor who, by 1968, barely wanted to work anymore. He'd been living in semi-retirement on Maui for years, enjoying the quiet life. When Hawaii 5-0 creator Leonard Freeman reached out with the offer of playing Hawaii's governor, Denning turned him down flat. Freeman came back with an offer he couldn't refuse. No more than 5 hours a day, 4 days a week. For a 54-year-old who was done with Hollywood, that sounded like heaven. Denning was born in 1914. Before Hawaii 5-0, he'd appeared in dozens of films, from 1950s science fiction, Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954, to radio comedy alongside Lucille Ball. He was actually Ball's co-star on the radio program My Favorite Husband, which served as the direct basis for I Love Lucy. When the show moved to television, Ball insisted her real husband Desi Arnaz play the husband's role. Denning was squeezed out of what might have been the defining project of his career. The role of Governor Jameson in Hawaii 5-0 became his final act, and one of his longest. 12 years, from 1968 to 1980. Distinguished, authoritative, perfectly cast as a man of the state. In 1942, he had married horror actress Evelyn Ankers, the so-called Queen of the Bees. She died of cancer in 1985. On October 11, 1998, Denning died of a heart attack at 84, just 9 months after the death of his co-star Jack Lord. It felt like Hawaii Five-0 was saying goodbye all at once. Number 6, Moe Keale, real name Wilfred Nalani Keale, Detective Truck Kealoha. Moe Keale was a living legend of Hawaii, a name whose weight in local music culture dwarfed anything a TV credit could convey. He was born in 1939 on Niuehau, one of the most isolated and traditional islands in the archipelago. His family spoke only Hawaiian. His father was a kahuna, a keeper of traditional knowledge. By 4 years old, Moe was playing ukulele. He was one of the last people of the 20th century with fully native Hawaiian ancestry. As a young man, Moe worked as a beach boy in Waikiki, gave surfing lessons, worked as a DJ, performed in Hawaiian music shows, and worked as an electrician on film sets. It was on the Hawaii Five-0 set, while working as an electrician, that he got his role. From 1971 to 1980, Detective Truck Kealoha stood alongside Steve McGarrett, bringing genuine Hawaiian spirit into every scene. Off camera, Moe was part of the celebrated group Sons of Hawaii. His nephew was none other than the legendary Israel Kamikawi Wo'ole, the man behind the most beloved version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Moe was his primary musical mentor. In April 2001, Moe suffered a near-fatal heart attack. A pacemaker was implanted. Given a second chance, he didn't spend it on himself. He raised $260,000 for the American Heart Association to install portable defibrillators across the island of Hawaii. On April 15, 2002, while performing poolside at the Sheraton Waikiki, his heart stopped again. Moe Keale died on stage. He was 62. In 2003, the Hawaii Academy of Recording Arts established the annual Moe Keale Aloha Is Award in his honor. Number 7, Al Harrington, real name Tausau Tea, Detective Ben Kokwa. Al Harrington managed to live several full lives inside one biography. He was born in 1935 in Pago Pago, American Samoa, and spent his first 3 years being raised by his grandmother in a village. Then his mother, who worked as a nurse in Hawaii, brought him over. She later married a U.S. Army officer named Roy Harrington, and Al took his last name. At Punahou School, he excelled on 2 fronts simultaneously: theater and football. He became the first player from Hawaii to earn All-American honors at the high school level. The Baltimore Colts came calling, but professional football salaries at the time were modest. Al chose Stanford University instead, earned a degree in history, taught school, and then reinvented himself as the South Pacific Man, the star of the dance shows at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. South Pacific glamour, delivered by a Samoan intellectual. In Hawaii Five-0, Al appeared in 1972 as Detective Ben Kokwa, a role he played for 3 seasons. His character stepped into the slot Kono had vacated after Zulu's departure. In 2011, Al returned to the Hawaii Five-0 reboot as Mamo Kahiki. His final role was Uncle John in the Disney Plus series Dugi Kamaloha, MD. On September 21, 2021, 1 week after suffering a severe stroke, Al Harrington died in Honolulu at 85. He was one of the last surviving members of the original cast, and he went out the way a legend should, with dignity and without a fuss. Number 8. Peggy Ryan, Jenny Sherman, McGarrett's secretary. Peggy Ryan was a woman who never learned how to stop. She was born in 1924 in Long Beach, California, and she literally grew up on stage. At 3 years old, her parents put her in their vaudeville act, The Merry Dancing Ryans. At 4, her first film. During World War II, she appeared in 19 pictures. After the war, her personal life kept falling apart. 3 marriages. The loss of her second husband, Ray McDonald, who died in 1957. Her son from her first marriage was killed in a car accident in 1987. After everything, she moved to Hawaii with her third husband, Eddie Sherman, and taught tap dance at the University of Hawaii. In 1969, at 44, Peggy joined Hawaii Five-0 as Jenny Sherman, McGarrett's secretary. She stayed through 1976, a modest, understated role, but she was the one who gave the world of Hawaii Five-0 its warmth. After the show, she went to Las Vegas to coach showgirls and tap, then founded her own troupe called TNT, made up of middle-aged women. At her 80th birthday party, she performed a full tap number, to the absolute delight of everyone in the room. In 2003, she had her first stroke. On October 30th, 2004, Peggy Ryan passed away at 80. She had taught her last dance class 2 days before she was hospitalized. Some people simply don't know how to quit. And that's a beautiful thing. Number 9, William Smith, Detective James Chemo. Khigh. William Smith was the kind of man who made you want to lock the door and slide the deadbolt. Tall, powerfully built, with a gaze that went right through you. He spent most of his career playing villains, biker gang leaders, Soviet commandos, pure nightmare fuel. They called him Big Bill. He was born in 1933 in Columbia, Missouri. Smith's biography reads like a spy novel. He served in the U.S. Air Force in Germany, picked up several languages, including Russian, to the point where he taught it at UCLA. He held security clearances with the CIA and the NSA. When he married a French woman, it cost him his classified access. Then came 7 decades in the movies, north of 280 roles. In 1979, at 46, Smith joined the final season of Hawaii Five-0 as Detective Khigh, the new guy on the team. Movie fans remember him as Clint Eastwood's boxing opponent in Any Which Way You Can, 1980, and as the Soviet commander in Red Dawn, 1984. In 1976, the miniseries Rich Man, Poor Man made his villain Falconetti so convincing that people actually attacked Smith on the street, unable to separate the character from the man. On July 5, 2021, William Smith died at 88. By all accounts, he stayed in exceptional physical shape until the very end. People like that seem indestructible. They're not. Number 10. Sharon Farrell, Detective Lori Wilson. Sharon Farrell is the story of someone who survived everything and told no one. She was born on December 24, 1940, in Sioux City, Iowa. She started out as a ballet dancer with the American Ballet Theater. Then came the movies, alongside Steve McQueen in The Reavers, 1969, alongside Kirk Douglas. According to her biographers, a love triangle developed between her, McQueen, and Bruce Lee so intense that McQueen and Lee never made a film together. In 1970, Sharon gave birth to her son, Chance. Shortly after delivery, she suffered an embolism. Her heart stopped for 4 minutes. Doctors brought her back. But when she regained consciousness, she had sustained serious brain damage, memory loss, physical impairments. That could have meant the end of her career. And then Steve McQueen showed up. His advice was simple and brutal: don't tell anyone. In Hollywood, if people find out an actress has memory problems, her career is finished overnight. Sharon listened. She worked through her rehabilitation in silence and kept on acting. Nobody knew a thing for decades. In Hawaii Five-0, she became a permanent cast member from 1979 to 1980 as Detective Lori Wilson, the only female detective in the entire run of the original Hawaii Five-0. She later recalled that Jack Lord had manipulated her. He pressured her into firing her agents and exploited her financial vulnerability. After the show, she had a long run on The Young and the Restless, 1991-1997, then silence. In 2023, it came out that Sharon Farrell was the last surviving member of the original Hawaii Five-0 main cast. She died on May 15, 2023, at 82. The cause of death was withheld from the press for nearly 3 months. The last keeper of this show's secrets took them with her. Number 11. Khigh Dhiegh, real name Kenneth Dickerson, Woe Fat, the main villain. Khigh Dhiegh is an enigma all by himself. The actor who played the most famous villain in American television of the 1970s had not a drop of Asian ancestry. He was born in 1910 in New Jersey as Kenneth Dickerson. By his own account, his bloodline mixed English, Egyptian, Sudanese, Portuguese, and Zulu roots. Not a trace of Asian heritage, but his appearance allowed him to play Eastern characters, and Hollywood made full use of it. Dhiegh was working in his mother's Manhattan bookshop when a passing customer suggested he try out for a Broadway show. In 1961, he won the prestigious Obie Award. In 1962 came his iconic villain turn in The Manchurian Candidate. And in 1968, his first appearance in the Hawaii Five-0 pilot as Wo Fat, communist spy and criminal mastermind. Here's a piece of trivia. In the original pilot script, Wo Fat was supposed to die at the outset. It was Jack Lord who insisted the character stay alive, and Wo Fat became McGarrett's nemesis for all 12 seasons. Their final showdown in the last episode stands as one of the most anticipated payoffs in television history. Off-screen, Dhiegh was a profound thinker. He studied Taoist philosophy, wrote 11 books, earned a doctorate in theology, and founded his own Taoist shrine. He taught philosophy at UCLA. The man who played the most sinister villain was, in real life, searching for spiritual enlightenment. Khigh Dhiegh died on October 25, 1991, of kidney and heart failure at 81. Wo Fat was finally defeated, not by McGarrett, but by time. Number 12, Douglas Mossman, Detective Frank Kamana. Douglas Mossman is one of those actors you'd recognize on sight, but whose name you might not know. He was born in Hawaii and was a genuine representative of the local culture that ran through the DNA of Hawaii Five-0. He appeared in the series from 1968 to 1979 as Detective Frank Kamana, another member of McGarrett's team. His quiet, grounded style of acting complemented the more intense personalities around him and made the team feel real. Like many locally born actors on Hawaii Five-0, Mossman was part of Jack Lord's distinctive creative policy, insisting that Hawaiian roles be played by actual island residents, not actors flown in from the mainland. At the time, that was a rarity in American television. Endo, who played lab technician Kam Fong, described Mossman as the quiet but dependable anchor of the ensemble, someone you could count on both in front of the camera and behind it. After the series ended, Mossman continued appearing in Hawaii-based productions, staying true to the island that had shaped him. Douglas Mossman died in 1986 at around 57 years old, far too soon for a talent like his. His early passing left a gap in Hawaiian television that was never quite filled. Number 13. Dennis Chun as Duke Lukla, son of a legend, keeper of a tradition. Dennis Chun is the living connection between two generations of Hawaii Five-0. The son of the legendary Kam Fong, he appeared in small roles in the later episodes of the original series, then became a full member of the team in the 2010 reboot of Hawaii Five-0 as Sergeant Duke Lukla, the same role Herman Wedemeyer had originated. Dennis's story is about a tradition passed from father to son. His father, Kam Fong, was Detective Moe Keale. Dennis himself kept the family present in this universe throughout the entire run of the new series, 2010-2020, appearing in dozens of episodes. In 2026, Dennis Chun is 69 years old and still working in the industry, carefully tending to his father's legacy. A man who survived Pearl Harbor, the loss of his entire family, and built from the wreckage a life that deserves its own movie. Dennis never chased the spotlight. He just did his job, with the same quiet reliability his father always had. Number 14, James MacArthur, Detective Danny Dano Williams. James MacArthur is the man history locked inside one line. Book 'em, Dano. He was 30 years old when he came to Hawaii Five-0, and he stayed for 11 seasons, 1968 through 1979, appearing in 268 episodes. For a second banana, that's a record. His biography, from the very start, was a story of privilege and tragedy in equal measure. MacArthur was born in 1937 in Los Angeles. He was adopted by playwright Charles MacArthur and his wife, the legendary stage actress Helen Hayes, the First Lady of the American Theater. His godmother was Lillian Gish. Regular visitors to the family home included John Steinbeck, Harpo Marx, and Ben Hecht. A childhood where literature and theater were simply the air you breathed. But that childhood was shadowed by grief. His sister Mary died of polio in 1949, at 19 years old, at the very moment they were appearing together in a play. That loss left a mark on the whole family. James started young with Disney films, Swiss Family Robinson, Kidnapped. When the creator of Hawaii Five-0 offered him the role of Dano in 1968, his first thought was, great, 13 weeks in Hawaii. Nobody expected it to stretch into a decade. In 1979, he left the series, calling the producer from South America to say he was heading up the Amazon and wasn't coming back. His version, the stories had gone stale. William Smith's version, after replacing him, Jack Lord had refused to give Dano a decent dressing room. In 2010, negotiations were underway for him to make a guest appearance in the new Hawaii 5-0. On October 28, 2010, James MacArthur died in Jacksonville, Florida, from internal complications. He was 72. The next episode of the new series aired with a dedication. In Memoriam, James MacArthur, 1937 to 2010, the original Dano. Number 15, Jack Lord, real name, John Joseph Patrick Ryan. Detective Captain, Steve McGarrett, Jack Lord. Just that name, and the whole world of Hawaii 5-0 comes back to life. That profile with the impossibly sharp cheekbones. That look that made you want to confess to things you hadn't even done. That voice, Bookham Dano. He was born on December 30th, 1920 in Brooklyn, New York, into an Irish-American family. As a kid, he shipped out on cargo freighters, sketched landscapes, Africa, the Mediterranean, China. While still a young man, Jack sold his paintings to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. He always said he preferred painting to eating. He always dreamed of being an artist, and acting was just the means to become famous enough to sell his work. The plan worked too well. During World War II, he built bridges in Persia with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Afterward, he studied at New York University and trained at the Actors Studio. In 1962, he played Felix Leiter in the first official James Bond film, Dr. No. When it came time to make Goldfinger, Lord demanded a higher salary and co-star status, which the producers wouldn't grant. So he walked away from a role he could have kept playing indefinitely. That was the cost of his principles. When the role of McGarrett in a new Hawaii-based police procedural came his way in 1967, other names had been floated first. Richard Boone was offered it and passed. Gregory Peck passed too. Lord said yes, and moved to Hawaii permanently. Jack Lord was a perfectionist of almost pathological intensity. He controlled everything: casting, props, wardrobe, lighting. From 1974 onward, he quietly served as executive producer of the series, with no credit in the titles. He was the one who insisted Hawaiian roles be played by actual Hawaiian residents, not mainland imports. For American television in the 1970s, that was genuinely radical. People called him a dictator on set. Rigid, uncompromising. But in the end, that very approach made Hawaii 5-0 the longest-running police drama in American TV history up to that point. Lord's private life was almost completely shielded from public view. From his first marriage in 1942, he had a son he'd seen only once, as an infant. In 1955, the boy died of hepatitis at 12 years old. Lord lost a son he'd barely known. In 1952, he married designer Marie Denard, and that marriage lasted until his final day. They had no children. In 1967, they moved to Honolulu and never went back to Hollywood. Jack walked the beach, shopped at the neighborhood grocery store, visited galleries. He lived like an ordinary person, just with the weight of a legend on his shoulders. After Hawaii 5-0 ended in 1980, Lord virtually disappeared from public life. He shot one failed pilot, and that was it. Later, the truth came out: Alzheimer's disease. Available evidence suggests the diagnosis came around 1990. Some biographers argue the symptoms were already visible in the final seasons of the show. Marie denied her husband's illness publicly for years, out of loyalty and a fierce desire to protect his dignity. When Lord's personal secretary Margaret came to visit him for the last time, she found him sitting in a chair. He looked up at her, but the disease had taken complete hold and he could no longer speak. "It was the saddest moment of my life," she said. On January 21st, 1998, Jack Lord died of congestive heart failure in his Honolulu home. He was 77 years old, his body was cremated, and his ashes were scattered in the ocean off the coast of Kahala. No funeral. By his own wishes, no ceremony, just the sea. Lord's estate was valued at approximately $40 million. After Marie's death in 2005, all of it went to Hawaiian charitable organizations. The artist who wanted to sell paintings ended up giving everything to the island that had become his home. In 2004, a bronze sculpture of Jack Lord was unveiled outside the Kahala Mall. McGarrett looks out over Hawaii and shows no sign of going anywhere. That was the team of Hawaii 5-0. Cops and villains, legends and tragedies, lives lived all the way to the edge. They gave us more than a decade of Hawaiian sunsets, and every one of them carried something heavy off camera. Wars, losses, illness, love, and an unquenchable will to keep going. Some left too soon, others lived long years in quiet. Still others left behind music, sculptures, foundations, and estates willed to an entire island. If you grew up watching Hawaii 5-0, this one's for you. If you're discovering it for the first time today, welcome to one of the longest, richest stories in American television history. Tell us in the comments, which of these actors do you remember best? Whose story surprised you or moved you the most? Subscribe to the channel. There are plenty more stories like this one coming, because behind every iconic show, there's always a whole life hiding just out of frame. Aloha.